Hello, my name is Luke Sullivan, and today I'm going to be talking about the Oracle e-Business Suite zero-day attack. So EBS matters to enterprises, and this talk is going to cover the zero-day CVE, the extortion campaign, how the exploit works at a high level, and how to detect compromises, and what to patch right now to make sure you are not affected. So EBS runs core business processes. Compromises grants access to sensitive data and lateral movement. The CVE 2025-61882, which I will be mentioning quite a lot during this presentation, lives in the concurrent processing components BI publisher integration systems. And many environments are internet exposed and have complex CPU requirements and prerequisites, which slows patching. This is why attackers love EBS. There's high value data, broad privileges, and as I mentioned, complex patch prerequisites. So it takes a while for these companies to get rid of these exploitations. So what was this attack, what happened, and what was the timeline for it? Well, the exploitation predates the patch by weeks, and extortion emails used compromised third-party accounts for legitimacy. There was urgency due to the KEV listing and ongoing reporting. So on July 10th, 2025, there was suspicious activity in some EBS environments, but not a lot to raise too many critical red flags. Just enough to get a few people looking into it. On October 9th, the zero-day exploitation begins against the EBS customers, admins, and executives. And on September 29th, high-volume extortion emails were sent to executives. This included just admins, PMs, other just high-value executives in Oracle. Oracle issues security alerts and emergency patches on October 4th, but unfortunately, the extortion emails were already sent. And on October 6th, the CISA adds the CVE 2025-1882 to the KEV, which was the known area that got exploited. And October 9th to the 10th, Google says dozens were affected, and reporting continues. So what was the exploitation? Well, the bug was a web-reachable RCE that requires no authentication. And the prerequisite CPU requirement from Oracle's alert allowed admins not to get stuck and know exactly what was getting attacked. So the affected versions were 12.2.3 through 12.2.14, which was quite a few versions. And it was a full takeover of Oracle's concurrent processing, and it led to data theft and extortion. From endpoint to extortion. The attackers crafted UI and configuration requests that triggered server-side XSLT that spawns OS commands. Google Notes were also targeted because their payloads were stored in EBS database tables, and those were triggered via templates and other jobs. So as I previously mentioned, the initial access was through the internet exposed EBS endpoints. And there was much persistence and staging that had to be done prior to the attack because malicious templates were stored in the EBS databases like sleeper agents, and they could be used at any point, granted that the admins didn't find it and catch on, to target and exploit these specific areas in the systems. And as I mentioned previously, this led to extortion emails sent to executives and users' data being stolen. Detection and threat hunting. The immediate database checks were these SQL statements that the admins looked into after the attack had started. These SQL queries and endpoints come from Google's threat intel blog and Oracle's IOCs. If any hits appear, they immediately escalate to IR and stress that memory artifacts may be present even if the disk looks clean. So you have to make sure that the memory forensics teams knows and checks that these disks are completely wiped so that there are no more hidden like sleeper code that can allow these attackers to exploit their systems. And their policies that they put in place were assuming breach if internet facing pre-patch. They checked executive mailboxes for extortion messages and whatnot. So if you were an affected user, here's what you need to do today. You need to patch and apply the Oracle security updates and ensure that the October 2023 CPU prerequisite is installed. You need to continue to verify and monitor that your systems are not affected, and if they are, you need to immediately alert Oracle so they can get right on it to patch it and make sure that there are no more big exploitations being used. So thank you so much for listening to my presentation covering Oracle's eBusiness Suite zero-day attack. I hope you had a good time listening. My name has been Luke Sullivan. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.